This is a Glassbox Media podcast.
So I feel like this happened a couple of weeks ago, but I still think it's something that we should talk about since we are a dating podcast.
Okay.
But did you guys hear that Tinder partnered with Noonlight?
Partnered with who?
Noonlight. So Noonlight is this app. It's like this app that was created a few years ago where you can like trigger emergency services or you can like link it so people can like, I think it has like tracking and stuff available too. So
That's incredible.
And it can trigger like emergency alarms. So Tinder partnered with them. So now you can get the Noonlight badge on your profile so that people know that it's hooked up and like connected to your profile. So if there's a creep out there who's like intending on doing something bad, it could possibly dissuade them. Yeah.
It's like having the sticker.
The ADT or whatever. Yeah. And it can also share when, where, and who you're meeting, like in real time, like via its like timeline feature. It gives you like a
you guys
timeline.
Would have loved that.
Yes. And again, it can also like discreetly trigger emergency services.
That's
so
awesome.
It's like connected to your Tinder now. So I wanted to just give like a shout out to that. So anybody who's currently on the apps and like doing that shit, because you can really never be safe enough.
Well, well done, Tinder. I really dig that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I love it.
I mean, if I'm honest, I got way more creeps on Bumble and the creepiest of creeps on Hinge.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't Bumble the one where you have to make the first move?
Yeah.
Why are they on there?
Exactly.
You know why? It's because the people who are on Bumble, the dudes on Bumble, are like #nice guys.
Oh,
right? They're
so
like,
true.
I'm a feminist. They own like a wild feminist t-shirt.
Like, I'm not on Tinder. I'm on Bumble.
Yeah.
The women get to go 1st, but immediately after, I'm going to be inappropriate.
I'm gonna call them a cunt within 5 minutes of speaking to them. Yeah. Mhm. That's right.
At least I waited 5 minutes. That's why I'm on Bumble.
Yeah. #male feminist. #he for she.
Yeah, my top 5 worst dates were like, one was from Tinder. The rest were from Bumble.
That is interesting. You know what? I actually want to hear from our listeners, like, which platform has been one most successful for you, and which platform have you gotten the most creeps on?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, I don't know, and it could be the way that I was playing it too. You know, because it took me a minute to figure out exactly how it worked for me, and I ended up liking Tinder because I felt like people let their freak flags fly on it. People were generally who they were on Tinder
you
for
can
me.
weed
Where it's
it
just like
out.
Speaking of things to FMK, we should FMK the dating apps at some point.
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like Cassie,
Totally.
you and I need more experience really taking a close look, because I would have assumed Bumble was okay. Like I would have thought it was better, you know,
Right.
because I've
Yeah.
never been on it.
did not like it whatsoever. It was the worst. And then the timing thing too of it, because like you have only that 24 hours, like, so you have to constantly be on it or pay for it, because you're missing matches, because you match with somebody and then like they match with you. You only have 24 hours to start a conversation, otherwise it's gone.
Literally too lazy to date. I'm too lazy to date.
It was a part-time job.
There's no.
It really was.
No, thank you. No, thank you at all. All right. So this is the other thing that also happened a couple of weeks ago, but I feel like we just had so much to talk about because of the way that like our schedule had been, that we hadn't like caught up on things for a while. But I can't believe we didn't talk about how Andy King from that fucking Fire Festival documentary is the new Evian water spokesperson.
Wow. How have we not talked about this
Love
yet?
it.
So for
We
those
haven't
of
even
you
talked about this in our real life yet,
Yeah.
which is wild.
So for those of you who have been like living under a rock and didn't watch the Fire Festival documentary, and also just don't internet because he's a meme all over the internet, this guy was like so dedicated to making Fire Festival work that he was prepared to suck dick to get Evian water onto that island.
For everybody.
He was ready. He's like, I Listerined before I went in. I got the mouthwash out, which I'm like, that seems like an after event, but fine.
I mean, for
like
for
brushed
those,
up.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't think you want to Listerine before,
No.
because the guy's junk would probably burn.
Is it gonna tingle?
It's gonna tingle.
You know
Or is that
what?
an extra? Huh?
Well, I
Maybe.
heard.
Bonus.
I used to hear like they might still make those like Listerine strips.
Oh yeah.
Those like little rectangular like gelatin strips.
Yeah. And
And
they dissolve in your tongue.
in middle school, they said that like you could put that on your tongue and like give a blowjob. And I was like, I think that would hurt. If I was a dude, don't you think it would hurt?
I need to know immediately.
I mean, I definitely don't want your Listerine mouth on my special parts. I feel like
Thanks, Grandma.
My special part.
my
My
special
bathing
parts,
suit area.
My bathing suit area. Dude, because, oh my God. Have you ever had somebody that had spicy food and went down there?
Oh, fuck no.
No.
Absolutely
What
not.
kind of monsters are you dating?
Well, I mean,
I like a spicy meal, so
I mean,
get
yeah,
it.
exactly.
You went out and you
we
got
went out and we
Indian
got
food.
Thai and, you know, had
Spicy
a couple
meatball.
beers. And, you know, that
Wow.
pad CU does not feel good on my...
Get those hot chili flakes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's something about like menthol, like that really, because sometimes, and this is what I like about Listerine. Okay. Don't give me your like Crest alcohol free fucking like
No,
mouthwash.
I
I
like
want
the
it to
burn.
hurt. Yeah.
Yeah.
It needs to hurt
That's how
so
you know
good.
it's working.
That's how you know it's
Yes.
working.
That's exactly
Science.
right. Science. I feel the same way. It's the same. It was the same rationale that I gave myself for wanting like boiling hot baths when I was a kid.
Yes.
I'm like, I
Burn
want it
off
to
the-
feel like it's burning off the germs.
That's
Yep.
right.
Yes,
That's how you wash your dishes in
Exactly.
boiling hot water.
Yes.
Burning off the germs.
I feel the same way
Science.
about a Listerine. You can get the fuck out with your like painless mouthwash.
No,
I
it
don't give a
has to
fuck
hurt.
about that. But because it burns, I'm like, if you're what if your dick's not clean?
Oh.
It's like attaching itself to the germs. It's on fire.
My dick's on fire.
Fire dick.
Oh my God.
Well, but anyway, speaking of fire dick, Andy King,
Nice.
nice segue. He is the new Evian water spokesperson, and I am really surprised because Evian,
not.
but of the waters, I'm
Okay,
like,
sure.
of the waters, Evian feels like the classy one.
It
Yeah.
used to be
Right?
the classy one.
Yeah.
It used to be.
Yeah.
I feel like Evian is embracing its McDonald's of water now. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Because I remember Evian water when we were younger.
fancy.
That was
Yeah.
you're drinking fancy water. It ain't dick all now.
Yeah.
There is water that's like
Udasani.
this is pH balanced
Okay,
by Gwyneth
hold on.
Paltrow's vagina.
Whoa. I will say, I think Evian is a step above like
Arrowhead.
Aquafina.
Yeah, or
Like,
Aquafina, which is
right?
like the Coke
Right,
water.
yeah, you've got Dasani, which is Pepsi. You've
Yeah.
got Aquafina, which is Coke. Then you've got like Evian. Then above that, you've got like fucking Fiji
and smart
and
water.
Smart Water.
Yeah.
right. Like, because I'm a Smart Water gal.
I am smart
That's
water
what I'm
too.
picking if I have to.
It
decide.
says smart on it, and I'm like, yeah,
The
I'm
shape
smart.
of the bottle,
Yeah,
the
it's
shape
for
of the
me.
bottle feels efficient
Yes,
to me.
yeah. I don't like
it.
the squareness of the Fiji
Where
because
the
I'm
fuck
like,
am I gonna put that?
exactly, that's a terrible design.
It's
I'll
awful.
never get Fiji.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also I heard that it's just like it's not even like it's good. Like Fiji water is just like trash, but it like looks fancy.
Also,
does look
reusable water bottles.
Also
Because
that, honestly.
like the
It's
fucking
time.
planet is going to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah, yes, our planet is imploding on itself,
Yeah.
so we could do that. But
Speaking of shit that we don't need. Oh, are you still?
oh no, go ahead.
Did you guys see the thing about Erica Badu making vagina?
Yes, I did.
scented
But
candles? I
here's
need
the
combo
deal.
on this.
Well, she's doing vagina scented perfume.
Oh, that's right. The perfume.
Gwyneth
is doing the
Paltrow
candles,
started
right?
this shit with her fucking candle.
Have
and
you
let me
guys
tell
watched Goop Lab?
I'm
on
absolutely not
Netflix?
going to watch that
No.
fucking show. No,
No.
Christina.
No.
Are
Stop
you
it.
watching that show?
Stop.
I mean,
Why?
it's a train wreck.
Oh,
and I'm like, it's the same
no.
reason why you slow down with the car accident. You're like, let
Oh, I
me
gotta
look
see
at
this.
it.
The
Entitlement that it makes you feel when you're watching it. I'm like, I shouldn't be watching this. Like, somebody
This
that
isn't for
lives
me.
a little bit paycheck to paycheck. I don't even have the money for my eyeballs to be watching the amount of just
you owe them money now.
exactly.
Actually, yeah.
entitlement.
It is so entitled. It's
I
so
don't. But that's
bad.
all of Goop. Goop is that,
Yeah.
and that's how this fucking started. And to be honest, I almost think the Erica Badu thing is kind of like a joke. based on the Goop thing, because I believe that Gwyneth Paltrow is serious and she thinks people do want a $75 candle that smells like her vag.
I don't understand what's happening at all. I am.
You're like, everything in my life that I've learned thus far has not prepared me to deal with that information. I'm totally with you. This is not something I ever thought I'd have to deal with.
I cannot compute.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if anyone was going to do it, it was going to be Gwyneth Paltrow. And to be honest, if you're going to make me, if I had to decide between something that smelled like Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina and something that smelled like Erykah Badu's vagina, I'll take fucking Erykah Badu every day.
I feel like it might be more like of a patchouli-esque.
Well, Erykah Badu is like a fucking sorceress, and I'm like, I'll take your magical vagina.
Legitimately, she is. So I'm sure that her vagina perfume actually like casts spells on people.
Yeah, I mean, it changes people.
Yeah. So I am kind of curious. I'm like, does it like?
I'm just curious to know what that smells like, or what you think it smells like.
The dudes she's with, like, it's like the second she's with them, they like become better human beings.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm just like, you're like a magical human.
I'm sure she has a magic vagina. I'm positive of it. I'm sure it smells like sandalwood, and I love sandalwood.
You're right. Yes.
Like I said though, like, oh yeah, you're right. Sandalwood over patchouli. What do you think Goop's poop shoot smells like?
It doesn't smell like her ass. I don't know.
It's gonna have like some kind of vanilla
it's
scent.
Bland.
Oh,
it is
vanilla,
bland and clean. And you know what? This isn't even a
bland and clean.
This isn't even
I
like
want it to be clean.
I mean,
I
clean linens.
Clean is boring. Yeah, no. You know what it smells like? And this is no shade because I will watch an episode of Fixer Upper any day. But like, it probably smells like those magnolia candles that you can get from Target. That like Chip and Joanna Gaines make.
Yes.
And it's like
shiplap.
It's the whitest candle you've ever smelled.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. And it costs $75
like a light note of jasmine.
fucking dollars. You know, it's probably even lavender. It's like gonna put you to sleep.
Oh no! See, I was just gonna say if I was gonna make my own vagina scented candle, I do believe it would have hints of lavender.
Oh, I love lavender. Like I'm just saying,
or rose.
Lavender makes you sleepy, and rose reminds me of an old lady.
Okay, just kidding.
I'm
it's
lavender.
Wow, it is true.
Mine would definitely have hints of sandalwood. It would definitely be like an herb,
but earthy, but not like a mushroom.
Yes,
because there's
earthy,
mushroom,
not moldy.
There's mushroom earthy, and then there's sandalwood earthy, and they're very different smells. It doesn't smell like beet salad.
Yes. No, my vagina. I am putting this out here on the podcast. My vagina definitely does not smell like beet salad.
Oh no.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. I will have testimony to you by the end of the week.
Oh God.
Country apple vagina.
Oh my God. Bath and Body Works. You guys remember?
Girl,
what was your Bath and Body?
No.
Plumeria. No. What was your Bath and Body scent?
I think I really have to probably go Country Apple. I really loved Country Apple.
Mine was not, I was
was a pear one?
Mine was either I was a sweet pea blossom ass bitch.
Yep.
Or the like cucumber.
I was cucumber melon.
Melon. Yes, the cucumber melon is really that was really the one that like if I had to decide, and everyone had that like body mist. It was mist. It wasn't perfume. It was like
I was
some kind of
Plumeria for a minute though. Yeah.
I feel like I started out as sweet pea, and I think it's because my friend shout out Sienna did the sweet pea, and then like whenever I really started getting into my own, I was like, no, I think I'm a cucumber melon.
They're gone.
Sweet peas
right?
were my birth.
No, I just was there.
I've been to like Beverly Center and like Westfield or whatever. I feel like I haven't seen one in forever. I've seen the Body Shop, but I don't see Bath and Body anymore.
This mall over here by us, over by Cassie and I, it has a Bath and Body Works in it, and I was just there because I used the same like Christmas tree, since I have a fake tree. I use the same like balsam fir scented candle every year until it runs out. And it ran out this year, and I knew that Bath and Body Works every year after Christmas they have like a massive sale. So we went like the day after Christmas and bought a new candle.
Nice.
So Bath and Body Works is the shit. I still stand by it.
Your 7th grade mall, it had the Bath and Body Claire's.
Yep.
Claire's.
Hot Topic.
Yep.
Yes.
What was the store? The 579.
579.
Yes. Rave. Do you remember
Yes.
Rave?
Wait, Debs? Do you guys remember
Debs. That's what I was about to say.
Oh
Debs.
my god, that's where you would get your
Yes.
homecoming dress, girl.
guys,
So
How fucking like weird is 579? Because like
I loved
that,
579.
but it had no clothes over size 9.
But that was, for me at that time, it was the only place I could find a 00. And there was nothing, there were no stores that carried like zeros or 00s.
Yeah, but that's why it doesn't exist.
That's why it
anymore.
doesn't exist. It's because you can't have a show. A store that's like nobody over size 9.
No, I get it. No, I get it. But
Yeah, at the
being
time.
at the opposite end of it, like it literally, there was no place that I could buy pants because there was no place that sold 00. So I
579
always liked 579.
And Debs also had every like April or May also had the most 2000s prom dresses
Yes.
Oh, yes.
ever seen. It was
Oh,
all
yes.
like shiny satin.
Yep.
A lot of oranges and greens.
Yes.
Like there was a time
And strappy.
in the early 2000s that were like, why is lime green like shiny lime green?
Yes.
Yep.
Frosty lime green. Why is that the color we're all going for? I almost
Girl.
picked a dress for my prom. I'm so glad I didn't do this, or am I? Because it would have been a great, story. But I almost picked a dress for prom that literally looked like one of those pink Wrigley gum packages.
Oh, wow.
Like it was like that shiny hot pink, where it was like frosty shiny hot pink.
Wow.
And it looked like that. Amazing. What a time. And I also had ruching all the way up the butt.
Oh, girl.
I just remember getting dropped off to walk around the mall and just like, that was just the shit.
Yeah.
Stealing nail
was your
polishes
so-
from Claire's.
And earrings and everything.
Everything
You
from
just
Claire's.
walk out and pilfer
Y'all were some
Claire's.
hooligans.
Wow,
Were,
man.
honestly.
I remember the cut at the time was like it would come up, what's that? It's like strapless, but it's like kind of
The-
square.
yeah.
And then
halter.
it's a strap, like a
Yeah.
halter. And then it like came to like a strappy and then it was strappy in the back.
Yes, it had like corset straps in the
Yeah.
back, kind of, but it was like looser than a corset. I know what you're saying exactly.
Everybody
Yes.
wore that dress.
And there was unnecessary like beading and stuff too.
And
yeah, and
butterfly
you had the
clips.
rose, like the twist row hairstyle with butterfly clips, and then if you were real lucky, you could get the spikies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Spiky hair.
Spikies. And
Also, do you guys remember?
super thin eyebrows?
Do you remember such frosty eyelids, frosty lips? And do you remember the things that you would put on your bun? Like
make it look like
Claire's
you had
had
hair.
to make it look like you had spiky
Hair.
things around.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, Claire's had it in like every color, and I'm like, that didn't look good because
No.
no one had lime green hair, but we would buy the spiky.
Yes.
And also, as a curly haired girl,
Yes.
wearing those
was
Nobody was like,
not a good
"Oh,
idea."
look at her. She colors her hair green."
ridiculous. It was like my hair was curly, and then there was just like spikes. Spikes or curls, because you could also get the bun ones
Yep.
that had the curls on them.
Oh,
Wow.
God, what a time to be alive, you guys.
It's a journey.
What a time.
Yes.
Okay, we have got to talk about Robert Pattinson.
Oh, yeah.
Has recently been declared, and I mean, he was declared this by like Dr. Julian De Silva, who's a plastic surgeon, so take this for what it's worth. He was declared the most handsome man in the world,
According to math.
according to the Greek Golden Ratio.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't. I mean,
I think he's fine looking.
I think he's
Yeah.
fine.
He's
I think
fine
he's
looking.
good looking.
So
Yeah.
he was found to be 92.15% accurate, according to the Greek ratio of beauty.
Oh, I thought it was higher than that.
No, 92.1.
No, it's the females that scored higher.
Duh.
And this was against like a bunch of other like male celebrities. So Henry Cavill was second with 91.08. Bradley Cooper was third with 91.08. Brad Pitt was fourth with 90.51.
He's so
And
good looking.
Loser.
George Clooney was fifth. First of all, can we address that they're all white guys? They're all white guys. I think that, and that's why I'm just like,
Okay.
did this need to be printed? Because the Greek Golden Ratio of beauty, I believe it was
It
something
has
that like
nothing. It's the ratio of between. It's like your eyes to your nose to your mouth. Like it's like
And the
yeah, but
symmetry.
they're
Yeah, the
completely
symmetry.
they're completely based on European standards of beauty,
right.
Yeah.
So it's subjective already,
Right.
And look, I think that they're all good looking people, but nobody's going to convince me that Bradley Cooper is hotter than Brad Pitt.
No.
Like ever.
No, sir.
Ever.
You can take that math back to your Texas Instrument, redo it.
Amen.
That's
I
right.
want to graph it out because I don't believe it.
I do think
Nice
that
try.
he's good looking. I think that Robert Pattinson's a good looking guy,
Yeah.
but do I think that
He's not
the
cuter than
best
Brad Pitt.
looking
Sorry.
person in the
No.
world?
Yeah.
And even though I'm not the
And
biggest
where's Tom Cruise on your list? I don't even hear him.
what the hell? Even though I'm not the biggest Henry Cavill fan, I would say that like that man's like his features are
I mean, he looks like a robot. He does.
Perfect.
He looks
Yeah.
They are
very
perfect.
symmetrical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see that. That
Yeah.
makes sense to me. Actually,
Right.
It
Yeah.
does. It's symmetry. You see, he looks like a god chiseled out of clay
Yes.
kind of shit.
Yeah.
yeah.
It doesn't make him attractive to me necessarily, though.
and
That's the
maybe
thing. I
maybe it's
just don't
because
think sense.
Robert Pattinson like carries himself as though he's just rolled out of bed like every
Yeah.
day. That like I'm just like I don't
I don't
get
like
it.
that energy. I'm not attracted to that energy. I want you to like excited, go getter, like energy.
Yeah.
That whole like slacker energy doesn't turn me on.
But I do like his work. I think that I like his movies. I like that both him and Daniel Radcliffe after Harry Potter, they were like, we're just gonna do weird shit now. They're like because
Elijah Wood too.
Yeah, they're like, we're just gonna do
stuff
weird
now,
shit
too.
because
Yeah.
we don't
I
because
like that though.
We don't need to
I love
work.
that.
I like it.
I love that because Robert Pattinson did fucking Twilight and he was in Harry Potter and then he was just like, you know what? I don't need the money. I'm just gonna do
I'm gonna do what I
the
want.
weird art shit that I want to do. And I'm like, I like that.
Here's the thing that I just want to point out. I like how high and mighty my ass is today because I took a shower. So I'm like, whoa, let me
You're like,
tell
my
you how
hair's
I feel about
actually
you
clean.
and your proportionate face.
I know. Here's me like talking shit about his like rolled out of bed energy, and I'm just like, do you know? I put my concealer on over yesterday's mascara that had transferred to my lower lid today. That's what I did. So
Yeah.
how about that?
Well, this is, by the way, my worst date. I'm Christina,
I'm Keegan.
I'm Cassie.
and we also have some new patrons
We do.
to shout out. I want to give a heads up to our boy Jay Gossett. Thank you so much. He's been a part of the Worsty fam for a while now, and for becoming a Patreon. We are so, so grateful and just so happy to have you as part of our crew.
Yeah, I love seeing you on Facebook. It's such a joy. I love when these people that like we get to interact with these people on multiple levels and connect with them.
Multiple.
Layers. And then we also have
We have
Busquetta.
Yes.
Busquetta.
Busquetta. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Busquetta.
I want to say Busquetta.
What's up, Dee? Thank you so, so much for joining our club, and we are so grateful. And yeah, we just thank you. And hey, now is a great time to join Patreon. We've got tons of like merch stuff. You get lots of bonus content. And
We just recorded a Crazy in Love movie, which will be available for all of our 5 and uppers
Yeah.
on Patreon.
You get to hear us do a play-by-play of Jennifer Lopez's Enough. And
Oh.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That
Was it enough?
alone is worth it.
Was it enough?
It was more than
It
enough
was
at 2 hours.
plenty.
It clocked in at more than enough. Yes.
This is plenty. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think for Fuck, Marry, Kill, I know it's not on our board
Okay.
of ones that we've been given, but
That's what I was
The top
saying.
3?
Because I told you guys, like, I was like, I think I have a Fuck, Marry, Kill that's not on our.
Yeah.
We keep a board of like things that people have suggested or like ideas we've had.
Okay.
But then whenever I was looking at this, I was like, you know what? Let's Fuck, Marry, Kill the top 3 apparently most handsome men in the world according to the Golden Ratio.
Oh, Lord. That is
okay, so it's
tough.
Robert Pattinson.
It's Robert Pattinson, it's Henry Cavill, and it's Bradley Cooper.
What a wild.
I know. It's kind of a
Randomness.
weird mix, actually. Bradley Cooper seems like which one of these is not like the others, right? Like, I'm just like, he doesn't seem.
I think I have the hot take on here.
I think I don't think he's unattractive. I just think comparing him, just looking at his features
Yeah.
next to the other two.
It doesn't feel like the hottest guy.
Right.
I mean, he's very good looking.
He's good looking. Yeah. Great eyes.
good looking.
Beautiful eyes.
Yeah.
I think that I know what I'm going to do. I think I have a hot take here.
Go for it.
Go for it, yeah.
I'm really marinating over
Okay.
here.
I think I know what I'm going to do, but
All right. I think that this is what I think I'm going to do. I think, well, first, the easy one out of the way. I'm gonna kill Henry Cavill.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he is a little too chiseled.
He's
to
boring
the gods.
to me.
And he is boring.
That was
I think he's boring. Like he's one of those guys that I'm just like, if you weren't that good looking, I don't think you would be famous.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Here's what it is. If we're gonna go with a man who kind of looks like that, I'll take a Matt Bomer.
Yeah.
Right? Matt Bomer's interesting and looks similar to Henry Cavill, right?
Yeah.
So Henry Cavill, there's just like nothing about him. And then he made those comments, which I think I've talked about on this podcast before, where he like made comments to Esquire or something when they interviewed him, and he was like, after all this Me Too stuff, I just don't even know, how am I even supposed to talk to a woman without feeling like I'm going to be accused of sexual assault? And I'm like, okay, bye.
If you don't know, you better ask somebody.
Bye. You could ask her. She's literally right there. Just ask her.
Yeah. So I think I feel strong about that kill.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair.
Can I say I really do like the name Henry though?
It could make a comeback.
Yeah. I like it.
I don't like the last name Cavill. Cassie Cavill. It's ruined right away.
Yeah, Keegan Cavill sounds like that sounds like I'm supposed to be like a book character.
Yeah,
you know.
Christina Cavill.
That's actually not that bad.
It's not as bad, but all the alliteration is.
He's the one though that they did the mustache thing, right? He played super. Okay, I did love him with a mustache, and
really?
I did love him as the bad guy in Mission Impossible.
Well, you know
I
what?
He was really good in
he's
that.
got a strong jaw, which I think you need to pull out to carry a mustache.
Yeah,
I gotta be honest. I've never thought he's good looking, but I liked him a lot in that movie with the mustache for some reason. And I'm not like somebody who's like mustache. Sign me up for that, Magnum.
That is a tough accessory to pull off on your face.
No, you got to be Tom Selleck, and again, it's because like he's got a jaw.
Yeah.
Like a good strong
you
jaw.
Gotta have that strong.
Yeah, because Robert Pattinson has done a mustache, and I'm like, no, sir.
No, sir. See?
No.
Huh? Okay, here we go. All right. So I think I'm going to marry Robert Pattinson. And here's why.
God, I think we're on the same page.
I think we're on the same page because I feel the same way.
I don't think I can marry Bradley Cooper. There's something about him that seems fake.
Slimy.
Yeah.
There's something a little slimy.
I don't think it's slimy
to me.
For me.
To me, I think, okay, but here's the thing with Bradley Cooper for me. I think I was at maybe an impressionable age whenever I saw him, and I think it was maybe when he first started dating Irina or whatever her name is, but she was like 18. And he was like in his mid 30s or whatever, and he was reading Lolita on the beach with her.
Okay.
And I was like,
that.
I'm grossed out.
That's disgusting.
And it's held strong in my brain.
I mean, he's cute, and I'm still gonna fuck him.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna fuck his brains out for sure.
I don't feel he's the marrying kind. I don't feel like I could trust him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
I think it's that. I don't even think it's that. I feel like I could trust him. I think he is going to be a decent, I don't think he's going to try hard.
Oh, he's not going to rock my world, I don't think. No,
I'm going to be on top, and that's fine. That's why I like it anyway. And so, but I think I'm going to marry Robert Pattinson because I feel like
he's going to be fun.
He's fun.
He's fun. He's weird.
And he's weird.
And I kind of like that he's weird.
Yeah.
Weird guys do weird things in bed.
Amen.
And that's fun.
And he was like he doesn't realize that he's that good looking.
He was with FKA Twigs. Are they still together?
No.
No, but I like that they were together. It makes me think that he's an interesting person.
And interesting because
he has good taste in music.
And I bet he's got a big dick.
Oh, yeah.
But he's definitely the least lazy out of the three of them. He's going to do the most fun stuff.
The most.
I think you're right. I think he's got the biggest one out of all
agree.
of them. I'm willing to put a bet on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Me too.
In fact, you know what, guys? Prove us wrong.
Exactly.
These are dick pics we will actually allow.
Exactly. I'll open my inbox for those dick pics. Go ahead.
You've got your approval.
That's what consent sounds like, dude.
That's right.
We will not sue.
Exactly.
I promise.
Well, you guys want to take 5 and we'll come back with stories?
Yeah.
Okay.
O'Reilly. ¿Necesitas limpia parabrisas? Los profesionales en autopartes de O'Reilly Auto Parts te pueden ayudar a encontrar opciones específicas para tu vehículo y hasta te los pueden instalar gratis. Ahorra $10 al comprar un par de limpia parabrisas Bosch Focus. Además, recibe puntos dobles o rewards. Visita hoy mismo O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
And we're back. Okay, so I'm going to start us off with stories today. And this is an email that we received. It says, "Hi, ladies. First off, I just want to say I love the podcast, even though it has caused me to remember some of my worst dates that were previously blocked from my memory." This is one of them. A little backstory. I used to have a friend with benefits that I caught feelings for kind of early in our agreement. The feelings weren't mutual at the time, so I pushed them aside because the sex was great. I get it.
Been there, done that.
Yep.
Our arrangement went on for almost a year, and we really were good friends that happened to sleep together. Later, he caught feelings, but by then, I wasn't interested in that type of relationship with him anymore. For the sake of the story, we'll call him Frank. First of all, I feel like that's super common. It's like one person has feelings, then they like move on, and then the other person's like, wait, hold on.
I know. I'm like, does this movie star
That's right.
Josh Hartnett?
Yes.
And whoever else, some pretty girl.
I feel like it would have been
Rachel McAdams.
I was going to say the one from She's All That, Rachel Lee.
Oh, yeah.
Rachel Lee Cook.
Yes.
Yeah.
Josh Hartnett and Rachel Lee Cook star in Friends with Benefit.
Although there was a Friends with Benefits movie that came out. There were two that came out back to back. It was No Strings.
That's right.
And
With
then
Justin Timberlake.
And then Friends with Benefits. Friends with Benefits.
Ryan Reynolds.
Was it?
God, which one? All I remember is that one had Mila Kunis and one had Natalie Portman.
Yep.
I don't remember who the dudes were.
Jason Timberlake and Ryan Reynolds. Natalie Portman.
Uh-huh.
Oh, we were wrong. Natalie Portman and Ashton Kutcher.
There we go.
No strings attached.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then the other one was...
That's Mila Kunis and Justin Timberlake. I'm fairly certain.
Yeah, I think you're right. And
Yeah.
that one was...
Friends with
Friends with
Benefits.
Benefits. Yeah.
That's right.
Aren't you glad you guys came in to
Wow.
tune in for this?
Wow. Yeah.
One night, so back to the story. Anyway, one night when Frank and I were together, I told him that I was thinking about joining the military, but I didn't know if I could do it. We talked about it for a while, and he convinced me that I would make a damn good Marine. He told me that I was one of the strongest, most determined people he knew, and that if anyone could do it, I could.
Oh.
So I went to the recruiter's office, and a few months later, I shipped out to boot camp. At this point, Frank and I were still friends, but no longer friends with benefits. Frank wrote me every week while I was in boot camp, sometimes multiple times a week. His letters really helped me push through the 13 weeks of hell I went through. He even came up with a genius way to sneak me a couple Snickers bars in one of the care packages he sent me. For that alone, I will be forever grateful. Understood.
Oh, everybody needs a Frank.
When I came home
For now.
Oh, yeah. This is a worst date.
It is. When I came home on leave after boot camp, Frank wanted to take me out to dinner. I didn't have romantic feelings for Frank anymore, but like Keegan, I'm a people pleaser.
Uh-oh.
I understand. I would have said yes to. Against my better judgment, I didn't want to lead Frank on. I decided to accept Frank's invitation to dinner. I mean, he's the reason I joined the Marines in the first place, and his letters and care packages helped me make it through boot camp mentally. I felt I owed him that much. I let him know that I would go to dinner with him as a friend, but not to expect anything afterwards. Frank picked me up from my house and took me to an upscale restaurant in town. Everything seemed to be going well. We were catching up, and it seemed like we had just picked up where we had left off before I joined. We each had 2 martinis while waiting for our dinner, and Frank ordered another round as our food arrived. In the middle of our dinner, I realized Frank was hammered. He must have pre-gamed before he picked me up. Frank has been known to drink heavily, and 2 martinis weren't enough to get him to that point. He started rubbing my thighs and whispering in my ear about how much fun we used to have together, and he really wants it to be like it used to be. I told him that I didn't have those feelings for him anymore, and I didn't even know where I would be living in the next 4 years. By this time, we were done with dinner, and our server brought Frank our check. He is stammering through his wallet to try and scrounge up enough money to pay for the bill. He looks at me and asks me if I could cover the rest of the check. Mind you, Frank had insisted that he treat me to dinner. He ordered all our rounds of martinis and told me to order the most expensive steak on the menu because I deserved it and we were celebrating. I had to cover over $60 and the tip. Which if you're not expecting, like, if you're expecting it, it's one thing, right? Like sometimes nights out are expensive. You know you're going to like treat yourself or whatever. But if you go out and you're not expecting to have to pay, it feels like especially you just got home from boot camp.
Yeah.
I was a little annoyed at this point because I wasn't expecting to have to pay for half of our dinner, and Frank wouldn't let off the moves. He went in for a kiss and I leaned away. This just pissed him off, and he started yelling at me, telling me how ungrateful I was because he wrote me and sent me care packages while I was in boot camp.
This is literally the definition of nice guy TM.
That's
It's
exactly right.
you're only doing nice things so you can get something back.
Yes.
That's not being nice.
No.
That's not
No,
nice.
no. And also, if that's not an arrangement that both parties had agreed upon before.
right.
Exactly.
It's unfair to expect someone to stick to terms that they didn't know
They didn't sign up for.
that they didn't sign up for. That's exactly right. I tried explaining to him again that I just wasn't ready to be in a committed relationship with anyone because I wasn't sure where the Marines were going to take me. At this point, I excused myself to go to the restroom. In the restroom, I called my dad to come pick me up because Frank was getting aggressive. He was drunk and there was no way I was going to let him drive me home.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Dads.
love that
Yep.
too.
Yes,
I'm
they've
sorry.
been living. This is what they play
This
for.
is what they
Yes.
fucking play for.
That's
He's
right.
like, dude,
He's like,
you have made your dad
I went out to the parking lot to which, and Frank followed me. He was yelling at me to get in the car so he could take me home. I told him my dad was going to come and get me and he really shouldn't drive. I
Wait for
offered,
my dad to pull up right now.
oh, dude, honest. And also those feelings when you're waiting to be picked up and you need to escape a bad situation, they feel like the longest. Like you're just like, oh my God, get here, get here, get here.
Oh my God. I'm like literally, I'm like in her
hear the
shoes
tires
right now. And
squealing
I'm
as my
like,
dad
I'm
pulls up.
waiting for my dad to get out. And I'm like, what is your dad going to do? I'm V excited.
I offered to call him a taxi and he refused. He grabbed my arm and
No,
tried to
sir.
drag me over to his car. How scary is that, you guys?
Oh my God. We just watched
I just learned.
enough.
I was just gonna say,
I
I
was
just
like-
learned some moves from enough.
And she's from the Marines, so
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure that
Exactly.
she
I'm
could
like,
get
she got
herself
moves.
Yeah.
out of this situation.
Yeah.
I shoved him off and he stumbled backwards. Thankfully, my dad pulled up shortly after. Frank ran and hurried to his car and peeled out of the parking lot.
Oh my God.
Lucky for him, because I think my dad was about to beat his ass.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm like,
And he
my
knew
God.
it. That's why he
Dad.
ran to the car.
Yes.
Like watching a grown man like
Ooh.
stumble up and run to the car and squeal off.
Young ladies, like, and here's the thing: when I was younger, I was terrified to like call my mom or my dad if I was in trouble like that.
Totally.
But legitimately, 38-year-old me is like, parents fucking love that. People love to help you. I'm like, they love you. They want to come and pick you up. They want you to be safe, and
yeah.
they want to beat the
It's
shit
their
out of
dream
that
come true.
piece of shit
Yeah.
that's treating you badly.
And
they want to help.
As a 29-year-old woman, I will say, like, if I was at home and I needed help with something, my parents would be the first people I called.
Oh,
like my
yes.
mom would be the first person I called. I'd be like, Mom, can you come get me?
Oh, I know. I just love it. I love that so much.
Every now and then, I still hear from Frank asking me how I'm doing and if I ever think about us being
Sir.
together.
No, literally never.
I do not, Frank. Like, to me, it's that whole thing. It's like, it's so disappointing and disheartening, and it would feel a little heartbreaking, you know, because sometimes it feels heartbreaking when a friendship breaks up. But
Yeah.
it would feel heartbreaking to think that you had this very special, wonderful person in your life who was helping you get through a really difficult thing, and then to find out that it was only because they wanted something out of you.
Yeah.
You know, like that
It's
sucks.
gross.
It
Yeah.
feels bad.
And it sucks.
Yeah.
Ugh.
You up?
I'm up.
All right.
All right, so I'm going to preface this long story by telling you the actual title of it because I think the title sounds hilarious.
Okay.
It is
Wonderful.
called Body Glitter, a Missing Arm, and an Ambulance.
Whoa.
So
a lot.
I'm so hoping, I can't wait to get a taste.
Dude, I fucking hate body glitter so much. I'm
Oh.
excited.
This message says, "Hey, you magical, beautiful, hilarious, and sweet unicorns."
Oh, I love that.
That's awesome. Let me start off by saying how much y'all make me. It's so hard for me to say y'all. That, did you hear that? I was like,
Y'all.
how much y'all make me laugh, and how many looks I have gotten in public while listening to this podcast due to me gasping, screaming, and cackling like a crazy person.
I love it. I love it so much.
She says, also feel free to use my name. My name's Erin. I'm 25 years old and recently got out of an 8-year relationship just about 7 or 8 months ago.
Hoy.
Yeah, hoy, hoy.
Yeah, exactly. That's tough.
Yeah, that's a long time to be with somebody.
Yeah.
Especially when you're 25, because it means you guys got together so young.
Yeah.
It's your whole like
Yeah.
adulthood, early
all you've
adulthood.
known.
Mhm.
Seeing as I was just barely 17 when we entered into this previous relationship, I had not had very much experience in the dating world. And holy shit, it is an experience. Let me tell you.
Yep.
I apologize if the story is long or rambling. Please feel free to edit. A little backstory about myself, as I feel like it is pertinent to the following story. And let's be honest, gotta have an outlet excuse for my less than stellar life choices.
Oh, girl, no fucking judgment here.
Yeah.
Do
Welcome
you?
to the club.
Yeah.
I have always struggled with my mental health, and the breakup I went through was a blessing in disguise, as it forced me to seek the help I have always needed and provided a lot of answers for me. I started seeing my amazing kick-ass therapist, shout out to you, Leanna, and was diagnosed with type 1 bipolar disorder. Through a lovely combination of consistent therapy, medicine, and introspection, my life has finally balanced out a bit. But boy, the few months after the breakup were a whirlwind of poor choices fueled by alcohol and drugs. Yes, I know alcohol is a drug, but come on.
We know what you're saying. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sex and a whole lot of body glitter.
Hell yeah. Listen, I love it.
She's like, I want to do all the poor choices.
Did you get it from Bonnabelle? Was it like roll-on glitter?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And you put it on between your cleavage.
I loved
yes.
that. My favorite place was the collarbone, like right
Yes.
on the
Yes.
collarbone. Yeah.
I still put highlighter there. I'm
Hell
not gonna
yeah,
lie.
make that
I
shit
thought you
pop.
were going to say glitter. I was like,
No, highlighter.
highlighter.
But highlighter
Still-
is like the
Adult
adult
body
version
glitter.
of body
Yeah.
glitter.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Does the same thing.
Yeah.
being new to the dating scene and dating apps, my friend suggested I download Bumble, as she found it less overwhelming than the other dating apps due to the women being the ones who pursue the conversation.
Oh.
We just talked about this.
I know.
So I wander from window to window in my apartment trying to find the best light to take some bomb ass selfies in.
Who hasn't been there?
Girl.
I have a few places in my apartment where I'm like, I know the lighting's good here.
Yep.
And I know it's good in here. and
And
like these are my selfie rooms.
Yes, this is my selfie window.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
I do too. Yeah, of course. And I know what the background's going to look like in this
Yeah,
one,
mhm,
because you
exactly.
can't have like that weird.
Can't have a messy hamper in the
Yeah.
background. Yeah.
I don't have a messy hamper regardless because I am anal retentive.
Wow. I'm Cassie and I don't ever have a messy hamper.
Yeah, no brag. I get it. Some things drive me crazy. What can you want? Bomb ass selfies in, downloaded Bumble, wrote a pretty generic bio, and I was officially part of the dating world. Lord help me. So I'm swiping and messaging and trying to come off like I know what I'm doing instead of being like, hey, so I haven't dated since I was 17, just got out of a long-term relationship where we were planning to get married after he finished his last 2 years of school, and I have self-esteem issues due to him cheating, and I'm bipolar. Here's pictures of my cat and guinea pigs.
I want to date you.
Would
actually.
swipe. Yeah. Would
With
swipe
hashtag
right.
would definitely swipe. Yeah.
What do your cats look like? I want to see them.
Right?
Actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually did end up sending pictures of my fur babies pretty soon into conversations, but
Everyone
I'm
does.
a pet mom, can't help it.
Yeah.
Girl, same. My phone, just if you picked up my phone and went through my pictures, you'd be
All
like,
pictures of Chuck.
at least 1,000 pictures. Of
Yes.
Chuck.
Yes.
Approximately, if not more. Anyways, I came across this guy. He was he was older than me, 39 years old, but he was handsome and had a great, well-manicured beard, thick head of well-manicured hair, and great green eyes. I mean, sounds good so far.
Mm-hmm.
So him and I are chatting on the app for a week or so, then move to chatting through text. We decide to meet up at a local public and busy hiking trail in my town. I make sure to tell a few friends where I am, where I'm going, his full first and last name, complete with a screenshot of his dating
That's right.
profile. That's right, girl. This
Doing
is
it
how
right.
you do. And a picture of or two. I maybe need a dating scene, but my paranoid ass sure as hell isn't going to get kidnapped and murdered without leaving some type of.
I mean, like, to be
Yeah.
honest, brave for even going hiking. I'd be like, straight no. I'm not going hiking.
Coffee. Thanks.
Yeah, I don't. You're not going to push me off this cliff. Absolutely not.
no, sir.
I saw that Dateline.
That's right. Anyways, that day I was dressed in a cute but laid back hiking outfit, my best leggings that make my ass look bomb, a cute little strappy tank top, baseball cap with my hair and the low pigtails. You know that look where it's like, damn, this woman looks great. And like she takes a real good care of herself. But in that nonchalant, I'm not even trying type of way, even though I'm trying really hard. And it took me 4 tries to get this pigtail hat thing to look just right.
I fucking know that so well.
Look, anytime that I don't look like a garbage gremlin, just assume it took me a while to get there. Okay, you can be like, oh, she looks so fresh faced, like she woke up like that. I promise I didn't. Never. 0 times.
Yep.
Anyway, I pull into the parking lot where we plan to meet up and spot the truck he drives, which he had described to me. So I park, adjust my hat, take one last quick look in the mirror, get out with my backpack full of water, snacks, and a few beers. Yes, girl. Started walking toward this man and noticed right away he brought his dog with him. Huge plus. Anyways, I'm pretty distracted by the dog and I'm walking up and I don't really give the dude a good look over.
I love that. That would be me too. I'm like, oh my God, the dog. I wouldn't even look at the guy. That's like, why he brought the dog. It's like, I want to distract you with how cute my fucking dog is. And it would work for me.
Yeah.
Look, if Ted Bundy had come along and been like, hey, I have puppies in my VW Bug, I would have been like, all right, I guess I'm getting kidnapped.
Let's see them puppies. Yeah.
That's when I noticed he is missing an arm.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Now,
so listen, it's something that you just don't want to be surprised by. Right. Do you know what I mean? Because I've seen tons of fucking profiles actually with people that are missing appendages. No fucking shame, no worry, nothing like prepared. That. But you know it. Like, so you don't go in for a fucking handshake and feel like an asshole. Right. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Well, and I also feel like he would want to tell people.
Because he wouldn't want people to be like, he didn't want to have this moment that we're having right now.
Where it's like, surprise.
Yeah. Exactly.
Didn't know.
Again, 100%. Like, that's not an issue at all. That's not something that you should feel at all ashamed about. And it wouldn't be a deal breaker for me in any way. But it is something where it's just like you don't want to be an asshole. You don't want to be the asshole, and you don't want to put the other person in that situation.
Yeah,
and where they feel like an asshole.
No, normally this wouldn't even be something I would have taken aback by if I had known ahead of time. If not for all of his pictures showing him with both arms. So,
see, that's where it's strange. Is like because it's the same thing where we're like, just prepare people for what they're about to see. Like, even if they don't look like their pictures
you're like
anymore,
5 years older, 50 pounds heavier, or lighter, or whatever.
Yes.
It's just like,
we've talked about it on this podcast a
present
million times.
Yourself how you actually are.
Look like your pictures. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we hug and I pretend like there's nothing unusual about it at all, thinking that he'll address it, like he'll bring it up. Most likely he didn't tell me because he's self-conscious about it, and that's fine. That's totally fine. But he doesn't mention it at all. And I'm sure as hell not going to ask because I'm not really any of my business and it doesn't change who he is. But I still think, like, I mean, it's unusual.
It's kind of like wet guy. It's like, why are you wet?
Why are you wet?
Well, it's just like, and then you want to be like, oh, hey, by the way, like, just,
and especially again,
like the more you don't say something, the more awkward it becomes. Yes. It becomes more and more awkward.
Yeah, now it's a thing. Like, it wouldn't have really been a thing.
Now it's a thing.
Now it's a thing because I'm with her. Like, I actually
get
it.
And you probably would have still gone on the date with the guy.
Yeah, as much as I believe you should look like your pictures and be honest and upfront and all that stuff, I also have this belief. I mean, we actually had this kind of conversation on the podcast where, a woman in our group was talking about a guy who had like lied about his age 4 years or something like that. He was 4 years older, and yes, I believe that people should be upfront, but also there's always this part of me that's like, but people are sensitive about certain things, and maybe it's something like that. And so I get where she's going, where she's saying like, maybe he was self-conscious about this thing.
And that's what she said. She's like, I'm totally okay if that was a thing.
And
but
so it's fine. But then you need to like address it.
Yeah. I mean, like present like some kind of explanation. Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
And like, oh, I haven't gotten around to changing those pictures yet, or
here's the thing.
I don't even know how you would.
Yeah.
Well, here's what it is. Like, if I like broke my nose and I had to have a thing on my face, like a thing on my nose.
Oh, the
right?
first thing I'd say to you.
And even if you didn't want to say anything, like right away, I would say something. I would be like, hey,
By the way.
I know, like, I just wanted to bring it up, like, so we could talk about it or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine.
Anyway, we reach the summit and are sitting and eating, and I start taking stock of the other aspects of his appearance for the first time. This is when I notice he looks all sorts of disheveled and dirty. The well-groomed, full beard that was in his pictures was now long and scraggly, and his hair was also nothing like his pictures. Instead of a full head of styled hair, he had long, greasy hair and pretty noticeable bald spot. We start sharing about our lives a bit, and I let him know that I'm out of a long-term relationship, and he shares with me that he went through a divorce a few years ago as well, or a few years ago. He starts spouting some shit about how it's nice not really having to care what he looks like for his wife anymore, and how he can just really take care of himself.
No. It's not how it works.
Like, cool, dude, but you're dating now. So like,
yeah.
Anyways, he is sweet, but I'm not really feeling the spark, as I'm pretty taken aback by how much different he looks in person compared to his pictures. I'm already planning on seeing him again, or on not seeing him again. Ooh, but then he mentions this music festival he's attending the next weekend and has some friends.
No.
He goes on and on about massive brand new RV he just bought and how they have an extra ticket, lots of alcohol, weed, and other drugs. So I'm like, sure, why the hell not?
no.
Free ticket, free food, free dogs.
She's like, you know,
fuck it.
you're in your 20s.
Oh man, so
That's what you're supposed
forward
to
the
do.
next weekend, and I'm once again let my friends know where I'm
Time
going.
out. Yeah, I'm like,
know.
I thought you were paranoid. You can't get in an RV with this dude and a bunch of like
I know,
a bunch of his friends.
but they are going to a festival.
What? That doesn't make it better.
It's free.
I don't know you.
It's free. She told her friends where she's going, so it's fine. Oh man.
I've
Does
done
pull
it.
up in a super nice RV, which look, okay, 24-year-old me would totally have done this. I ain't gonna play. I would
Dude,
love to be like
I kn-
super judgmental over here, but I
Sounds
would done
super fun, actually.
100 would have been
I
nice.
Be dangerous.
I would not have done this at 25.
but very fun.
I was already an old lady at 25 on the inside.
Yeah. But listen to this place, or listen to this RV. It's amazingly nice. Gas fireplace, pull-out deck, built-in taps for kegs.
Holy shit.
I mean, I'm in this fucking RV already, dude.
I know. I'm like,
sign me up.
I want to move into it.
Everything is awesome until I realize it's just him and I. I ask where his friends are, and he said that they were at different campsites and that he would meet up with them during some of the sets. And I said, oh, I thought we were all going to be staying here and it's going to like be a big group thing. He goes, nope, it'll be just you and me.
Oh, fuck you. Take me home. We're done here. Are you telling me, Christina, that you would stay in this situation?
I'm too polite to back out at 24.
God.
Dirty?
Yeah.
I think she's 25. She said
Yeah,
she's 25, but
25.
like she's 25. He's 39.
He's
39.
39.
I missed this.
No, she's 25. He's 39. Scraggly,
divorced.
unkempt.
Oh,
There's a lot going on.
No,
That is a lot.
I'm
It's a
sorry.
lot.
I'm not
He
staying
lives in that
in
RV
an
too, doesn't
RV with you.
Is this RV his house?
Even if it was, okay, no judgment there because it sounds like a really nice RV and those are
sounds nicer
expensive.
than my fucking apartment.
To be honest, true. Yeah. And so I'm like, I'm no shade on the RV, but like, I'm not staying with this person I met once
Oh my god.
in their RV when we're going to be on drugs and shit.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely not.
So they are having fun, partying up, probably the drugs. I'm pretty high and not really concerned because I'm feeling good. We return back to the RV to grab some food, drink, smoke, and take some more drugs. Oh, to prepare for the evening shows. We go back, and about 30 minutes into one of the 3 shows, I start feeling really lightheaded. My hearing is fading out and I'm going to tunnel vision. I grab dude's arm and I let him know I need to sit down. And then immediately after I utter those words, I pass the fuck out.
Oh.
Right in the middle of the
Danger,
crowd.
danger.
I'm not really fully passed out, but instead I can hear everything going on around me. Like I'm underwater but can't move or speak. So I get carried to the medical tent and the workers are trying to get some information from this dude about who I am, what happened, did I take anything, emergency contact, etc. This dude is really fucking nervous. States that he doesn't really know me, that he met through a dating app, and then he fucking leaves. Yep. Anyways.
That doesn't make you look like super suspicious.
No shit, dude. Workers call 911 and ambulance shows up. At this point, I can somewhat open my eyes and mumble a bit. I'm so embarrassed, and it doesn't really help that the paramedics helping me are young and attractive while they were taking my vitals. Of course they are. I'm able to give them a bit of information about myself and what happened. This is when the dude who left me shows back up again, and he is losing his goddamn mind, giving the paramedics fake names and everything. He's telling the paramedics I'm fine, that he'll just take me back to the campsite so I can rest. One of the paramedics is getting pretty annoyed and pissed at him and basically tells him to fuck off and that I'm an adult and I can make decisions regarding my care. At this point, my vitals are coming back and they are not good. Surprise. My blood pressure is clocking in at like 61. I had none of those things.
I don't know what that means.
I'm going to skip all that stuff because none of these numbers make sense to me. So we're going to say it's not good. My heart rate is sluggish. I'm cold and clammy despite having a slightly elevated temperature. Since I'm somewhat alert and can communicate a bit, the paramedics leave the decision up to me about being admitted to the hospital, but are strongly suggesting I go with them, if only to get an IV set up with fluids. Well, I'm still extremely embarrassed, and the dude is still losing his mind, and he is pressuring me to just go back to the campsite with him. The paramedics finally grab the dude's arm and pull him away. However, at this point, I just want to be by myself. So I asked the paramedics to drop me off at the RV where I will just lay down, drink water, eat food. They reluctantly do so, making me sign a refusal of care waiver. So I get back.
Yeah, they're covering their ass. So
yeah.
Well, and I get why she didn't want to go. Like, we were just talking about how expensive hospitals are and stuff, and like that walk it off mentality of like, if I'm feeling remotely fine, then I just leave me alone so I can like
$5,000
or whatever.
Ambulance ride?
Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, we just talked about calling your dad. Dude, call someone to come get you.
Call your dad. He
like,
wants to. He will drive to that fucking festival. He wants to do it.
He wants to.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Do
Dad would
not
love
go
to
back
be a hero here.
to this RV.
Anyway.
He's giving fake names. What kind of fucking
what a
weirdo?
Oh, God. Only thing I can think is, thank God I'm so drugged and don't have to have sex with this dude. Anyway, morning comes. I pack up and leave. Literally never talk to this dude again, despite him texting me numerous times and me never responding. 39-year-old guy, by the way. Can we please one more time?
Oh, my gosh. She got lucky.
She got
yeah.
She's one of the lucky ones.
In the story by saying that after about 2 weeks of me not responding to this dude's almost daily text, he sends me a dick pic. The fuck, dude? Like, I wasn't responding before. Why would a pic of your nasty ass dick be any
He's like, you know what?
Idea?
I know how I'm gonna get her.
Wow. I like to blame it on the fact that I was in my manic phase during this time, but honestly, I'm just a bit stupid and naive for trying to have fun. I am so sorry that this is so long.
No.
I seriously love y'all so much, and your podcast makes my life brighter and full of laughter. Keep doing what you're doing. Lots of love.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, that's the only thing I would say. Because, I mean, dude, I fucking lived, and when I was her age, I lived in South Beach, Florida. And you don't think I got fucking stories just like that?
Oh, yeah.
On a 3-day fucking bender, dude, full of the cocaine.
Full of the cocaine.
And, you know, sometimes those end as a dateline, and sometimes there's something that we get to look back and laugh at. But, yeah, our advice, I think, call your dad. Yeah. My dad would drive to fucking South Beach. It would take him a minute from Ohio. But like, your dad wants,
or call
wants
your
to help
friends
you out
at this point. Because like, you know, honestly, she clearly let her friends know where she was, and there was a reason for that. It just, oh man. I mean, we've all put ourselves into some wild situations. What I want to say is that just because you put yourself into a wild situation is no excuse for any behavior that follows.
Well, yeah. Well, here's the thing. Important. I've put myself in situations, and sometimes you want to keep it quiet because it's a Midwestern thing. We don't want to put anyone out.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't want to put anyone out.
You don't want to inconvenience anybody.
And you also don't want to be judged. But if you got ride or dies in your life, they're going to fucking help you first.
Judgment free.
That's exactly right. They'll help you first. They might yell at you later.
You might get yelled at. And take it.
And take it. Because here's the thing. Whenever people who love you do that, it's because they love you and they were scared. You scared them. They're worried about you. But yeah, they're going to come pick you up. They're going to take care of you. They're going to make sure you're all right first. They're going to let you sleep it off on their couch. And then the next morning, they're going to prepare you a cup of coffee and they're going to be like, what the fuck?
Can you come in and shut the door?
Yes, exactly.
That's right.
Oh my God. Oh, okay.
We're glad you're safe.
That was a wild
We're glad
ride.
you're safe.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was worried for a moment. I was pretty worried.
Me too.
In fact, this morning when we have a cup of coffee with you, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah. You know
Exactly.
what? Can you come over here, please?
Come over and shut the door, please. Okay, this one we got submitted to us as well. It's called Worst Hookup, but Best Girl Power Moment.
Yes.
Okay.
We need this.
Yes. She says, what's up, ladies? My name is Karina, and first off, just wanted to say I love your podcast and got my roomie, who is a part of this story, addicted too.
Yay.
All names are cool to say on the pod.
I love the persona that you just put on right now.
No,
Your neck
feel
was going.
I feel so excited to read the story.
Okay.
I fucking wrote her as soon as this came into my mailbox, and I was like, I'm so excited. I'm going to read it on the next episode. So she says, so this happened during our freshman year of college during winter break. We were both home for the month and naturally swiping through Tinder in our hometowns to see if anyone new was on. Love it already.
Yeah. Great.
She's like, went to physics with that dude. That guy's
got a
Great
fish.
Brad
He's
back.
holding a fish up. I don't want to date that dude.
Oh my God. My friend Caitlin texts me saying she matched with this guy, Sean. Imagine tall, muscular baseball player with killer forearms and back muscles, and that he had invited her over to his house because his parents were out of town.
I love good back muscles.
She obviously wasn't going to go to some rando, albeit hot dude's house by herself. So she says, can I bring my roommate too? And you can invite one of your friends over. And Sean says,
Although sometimes not better. Did we? Everyone who listened to the first episode of the podcast,
Yeah.
do we remember that?
oh, yes.
Yeah.
I was the drag along to a worst date. It's not always okay. Sometimes it's just bad for both of you.
But at least then you're in it with a friend. You're not like by yourself. But yeah. And Sean says he's down. I get a picture from Caitlin of his friend Derek, who's tall, dark, and handsome. I say, I'm down too. And Caitlin sends Sean a picture of me. Gotta make sure everyone's hot. You know how it goes. Everybody
Yes,
cool? We're all
I do know how it
attractive
goes.
here?
All
Great.
right, all
Okay.
right.
Great.
Do we want to trade these at all? Okay.
Caitlin and I drive to Sean's house to meet up with the guys. We bring 2 bottles of wine and are ready for a night of drinking and probably hooking up. We end up playing various drinking games and we all got along really well. Overall, it was a good time so far. But at this point, there hasn't been a clear distinction of who's into who.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
That's what I knew it was going to happen. I was like, you guys gotta decide pretty early on. Yeah.
Even though we went in there with the idea that Caitlin was going to hook up with Sean and Derek and I were going to hook up, we looked at each other at one point, kind of giving a confused look like, who do you like?
You want to switch?
Shrugs from both of us, seeing as they were both hot. The night starts to wind down. We're all decently schwasty, and Sean suggests we take the party into the living room and watch some Shameless. Caitlin and I go into the living room first and say, okay, we're going to sit next to each other, and whoever sits down next to us is the one we're going
I
to bang.
think that's fucking hilarious. They're like, it doesn't matter.
They're both hot.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Basically, we had an old-fashioned switcheroo, and Sean sits next to me, and Derek sits next to Caitlin. We look at each other like, okay. Not even 15 minutes into watching Shameless.
Of course. That you guys were never going to watch Shameless.
I know.
Let's not. It was never happening.
No, exactly. They've already seen this
That was
episode.
background noise.
Sean already has his arm around me and tongue down my throat. He was not a good kisser.
Oh no, you made the wrong choice.
She taps her friend's like, I want to touch your neck.
Hey, can we switch? Can we switch back?
She says, I should have seen this as foreshadowing.
Oh no.
We finally decided to take everything to the bedrooms and get it on respectively. As things start to get hot and heavy with Sean, I hear my phone going off with texts from Caitlin saying she needs a condom. Safe sex rules.
Yeah.
Yes, girl, yes. We meet in the bathroom and give her a condom. We both look at each other shocked about what the night turned into, laughed drunkenly, and hyped each other the fuck up.
Oh, we're good friends.
We're basically excited to have sex not in a dorm twin-sized bed for the first time in a year. I love this so much. This is so much girl power. As we're leaving our bathroom pep talk, we high five and go, okay, break, and head off to our separate room.
I love it.
There's nothing better than girls in a
is the
bathroom.
best.
I mean, honestly,
It's the
we
best.
are the best, like, hype
It's true.
girls for each other. It's the best. Now is where things turn disappointing. I go back to Sean's room and am greeted with, we're gonna fuck all night long, baby.
Okay.
3
How old is he?
minutes
Yes,
later.
exactly.
Obviously, I'm like, all right, yes, finally. He rips his clothes off, rips mine off, throws me onto the bed.
Damn.
There was no attempt at any foreplay, and he goes right to town. And he
Wow.
goes, 1, 2,
No.
and done.
All night.
Oh.
This guy was a true 2-pump chump.
Yikes.
Usually I wouldn't shit on a guy for finishing quickly, but considering what he said, I was a little disappointed. I'm still sitting there.
Also, can we just say, like, if you know that, like, that's what's going to happen, like, foreplay is a must.
Oh, yeah.
Must.
Dude,
You gotta give her
I'm
that.
fine with the 2-pump
Yeah,
jump if,
yeah.
like, other things have occurred.
Other things are happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
If
cool
I'm
with that.
prepared for the 2 pumps.
you're
Yeah.
like, great.
You gotta make those 2 pumps real good.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still sitting there confused about what just barely happened. And he takes off the condom, flings it across the room.
Oh, ew.
The fuck out of here.
Oh, and might I add, it's his parents' room.
Oh.
And then
The disrespect. I'm such an old lady. I'm like, the disrespect.
But honestly, truly, call your dad.
Oh.
And then promptly rolls over and knocks the fuck out. I'm still
Damn,
sitting
son.
there, haven't even moved out of the position when this dude starts to rip the loudest, wettest, bed shaking fart I've ever heard in his sleep. She said wettest. I heard it in my brain.
Oh, God.
Disappointing sex followed by the nastiest fart I've ever heard? Question mark.
God.
I've had enough at this point. It was probably 3 a.m. So I text Caitlin to see if she was done yet. Obviously, she wasn't. She responds 10 minutes later, and we quietly leave to get our stuff downstairs and dip. As we're going down the stairs, Sean wakes from his slumber
Oh, no.
to ask, where are you going? You can stay.
No.
I kindly decline, and he awkwardly gives me a slobbery kiss goodbye.
Ew.
As we're leaving, we
I
swipe
am disgusted, Sean.
from his parents'
Whoa.
bed. As we're leaving, we swipe the rolling papers off the kitchen counter. Basically, the only good thing I got out of that night. The random Tinder hookup sucked, but our girl power pep talk in the bathroom is a moment Caitlin and I talk about all the time because it was iconic. I hope this wasn't too long.
I
Thanks
want
for
to know how
making.
Derek was in bed. I need to hear Caitlin's
I mean, it
side.
seems okay.
Yeah, she had 10 extra minutes. So,
That's right.
you know.
So it was at least 15 minutes, probably. That's good.
Thanks for making an awesome podcast. I always look forward to a new episode to listen on my long drives to school. Oh, I love it.
Sean, I'm disappointed in you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
we
you
need
know
to
what?
talk.
I really feel like this is why women should be honest about how disappointing men are.
Yep.
Because, like, that man he probably made it into his mid-20s still thinking that he was good at sex.
We all meet that one person though that doesn't fake it, like guy or girl, who's
Yeah.
just like, can
Yeah,
you
that's all
do it
right.
like this? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
That's true.
I was lucky to have a good tutor. I don't think I gave really good head until I met this person who was like, yeah, you're like ripping it off.
Oh shit! But I also
I sucked
think
too hard.
He's like, the suction is too much. I really need you to.
You're at like a 13 and you can be at like a 5 and we'll be fine. But yeah, I really
You're
like
ripping it off.
I think it depends too.
Shout
'cause
out
there's
to the
different-
Some people like force, like a show of
Yeah.
force. Like an aggressive.
Yeah.
I'm
BJ.
a go-getter though. And I think
You're motivated.
I am. I was motivated.
You're like,
You
I'm
were
gonna
given
suck
a
the
job
skin off
and
this
you're like,
bitch.
I also
We're gonna
thought
get
the
it
harder
done.
I did it, the faster it would be over.
That's right.
That's fair.
It's science.
It's
if I do it, if I suck it harder, it sucks to come out faster.
That's
So-
right. We get out of here sooner.
And I'm nothing if not efficient.
Amen. Look, if you can get it done before you get lockjaw, that's really ideal.
Exactly. So like
Some people just go forever and you're like, oh my God,
No.
ow.
And those people don't get head from me
Yeah.
because I am over it.
yeah, so shout
You're
out.
bored. You're like thinking over the last plot line from Bosch. Like, you're like, I'm done.
Gosh, it's so good.
Shout out to all the teachers out there. That's we got to be honest.
I hope
with each
Sean
other.
found a good one
Yeah.
someday, because yike. And you know what? You know what I picture? I picture that he forgot to pick up that condom, and then his parents came
Gross.
home.
Oh my
and
god,
then they
his
were
mom
like,
stepped on it.
they were like, Sean, come in here and shut the door, please.
oh my god.
He slipped on it like a banana peel. Woo!
Oh my god.
Cassie looks like she's gonna throw up. Job well done.
That's
okay.
how your mom broke her hip.
His dad's standing over him. He's like, I hope are you proud of yourself?
Hope you're happy with yourself.
Your mom has to have
I hope you was worth
2 screws in her spine now because of you.
You're never gonna amount to anything, Sean.
She's laying in the hospital bed and she's like, 16 hours of painful labor, and this is what I get.
Wish you were like your friend Derek.
Everybody wishes.
Such a nice boy.
Everybody wishes that he was like his friend Derek. Alrighty. Anyway.
That's lovely.
So this Crazy in Love, man, for some reason, this one, I feel like I say this every time, but this one was like hard. Like I usually do my notes.
Never heard of it.
I never heard of it.
I know it's going to be random AF.
I've never heard of it, and I keep a Excel document of potential like Crazy in Loves every time I think of one. I add
love
to
it.
it. So I was going through that list, and I started research on like 3 of them. Like I have a Google Doc, and I was like starting notes, and then I kept being like, nah, I'm just not like feeling it. I'm not motivated. And while I was doing research for one of them on Murder by Gaslight, I stumbled across this one. So we're going to do this one instead.
Yes.
And I'm not going to tell
I love
you.
that website.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. And so I got most of my stuff for this on Murder by Gaslight, Out History, and Murderpedia.com.
Nice.
Okay. So Alice Mitchell. She was born in 1872 in Memphis, Tennessee, and she was kind of an unusual young lady for the time. People were like, she likes sports. She actually played like baseball and football. She liked horseback riding. She liked rifles. She had sisters, but she spent way more of her time hanging out with her little brother.
She was the Joe.
Yeah. She was like a tomboy. And even then, tomboys existed. So people were just kind of like, all right. I mean, I guess she's just one of those. Her mom kept trying to teach her how to like sew and crochet. And she's like, no, thank you, please. She just didn't want to do it. So what they began to find like more worrisome than the fact that like she was a tomboy was that her family members, her extended family, so like when she'd come and hang out at Christmas or whatever, they were like, she's a little bit indifferent and cold and kind of just like detached. She seemed like not very warm. So a lot of people were just like, I don't know, fucking Alice is strange. We're just gonna avoid her at Thanksgiving dinner.
She's really mean.
I just wanted to be close to my family and they just neglected me.
God.
So in Murderpedia, this is what it said. This is a direct quote. She had no intimates or child sweethearts among the boys, and when approaching womanhood after she was grown, alone. She had no beaux and took no pleasure in the society of young men. She was sometimes rude and always indifferent to young men. She was regarded as mentally wrong by young men toward whom she had thus acted, which I think is the funniest. They're like, oh, she doesn't want my dick. She's crazy. Like, she must be insane.
Oh my God. Meanwhile, Alice is like, bored.
I'm so bored. You guys are so boring. Thanks, Sean. Okay, so it's...
Poor Sean's.
I know, honey.
Yeah, not all Sean's.
Hashtag. So it's unclear exactly when Alice met Frida Ward, but from what I've read, Alice was probably around like 17 at the time, and Frida was probably around 15. And they met at the Higbee School for Girls in Memphis, and the two were neighbors. They lived only a few doors down from each other, and they developed this really quick, intense and incredibly close friendship. And Frida Ward was described as more of a less of like a girly girl. So while Alice was more of the tomboy, Frida was kind of a girly girl. She didn't care about sports, and she was just softer. Like she just seemed that way. And still the two were inseparable. They spent as much time as possible together. And while I was doing research for this, like everything that I read really tried to emphasize how it really wasn't uncommon for girls in this time in like the late 1800s to form really close relationships where they would express their undying love for each other in letters and diaries, and that it wasn't all that unusual to see girls like holding hands or kissing. It was considered to be this thing called the chumming. They had a word for it, and they would just assume that it was kind of like part of developing relationships, and it was something that girls would grow out of as they got older. However, their relationship was much more than that. And while their affection for each other seemed to be mutual, Alice's love for Frida, who she called Fred, bordered on obsession. Alice claims that during this time, the two became lovers. And so when about a year into their friendship, Frida's family moved to Gold Dust, which was about 80 miles away from Memphis. Alice became extremely distressed at this information. So they began writing each other constantly, and on more than one occasion, one or the other of them would make a trip to visit for weeks at a time, either in Gold Dust or back in Memphis. And whenever they were visiting each other, they would sleep in the same bed together, as you do. Like when you're teenage girls, like that's what you do.
Yeah.
Now, it does appear that this relationship was romantic on both sides, but it was also very clear that Alice was way more into Frida than the other way around. And Frida actually, back in Gold Dust, had two male suitors, a guy named Harry and a guy named Ashley. And this was unsettling to Alice. And so during a visit in December of 1890, in which Frida had actually traveled to Memphis to stay a few weeks with Alice, Alice bought a bottle of laudanum with the intent of either killing herself or both of them.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes.
Wow.
So initially, it seems like Alice had planned on putting the laudanum on a cloth and covering Frida's mouth with it while she slept, but Frida woke up and was basically like,
WTF.
Excuse me. What are you doing?
Like this.
And so she stayed up the rest of the night because she was like, I'm a little worried you might poison me. And so the next day, Alice locked the two of them in a storeroom, and she showed Frida the vial of laudanum that was marked poison, and she drank the entire contents in front of Frida while they were locked in this storeroom. And she survived, but she was like super, super sick for a while she recovered.
Yeah.
And she told Frida that she wanted to kill herself so that she wanted to kill herself so that Frida would be free to marry one of the boys that she was seeing, so that she wouldn't feel like there was any kind of like, she wouldn't be in the way. She'll just take herself out of contention.
Oh,
selfless.
Yeah. How?
What a martyr.
Yeah.
When Frida went back home, they continued to write letters to each other, and Alice wrote, love letter after love letter, and Frida always replied to these letters. So in February of 1891, Alice started proposing marriage to Frida in her letters. She developed a plan that involved her dressing as a man and taking on the name Alvin J. Ward, and that the two would move to St. Louis and they would live as husband and wife. And Alice proposed to Frida 3 times before Frida finally agreed to be her wife. So Alice was elated and she began saving up money to purchase a ring. She saved $15. Does anyone want to take a stab at what that is in today's money? Because I definitely looked it up.
$6,200.
Oh, whoa. Not that much.
I was thinking it was 1,000.
No, 423. But still, 15. It's $423.
$15.
Yeah.
And so she purchased a ring for that amount of money, and she had it inscribed from A to F. And she gave Frida this ring as an engagement ring when she went to go visit the following June. So it was during this visit that Frida's sister, Ada Volkmer, began to kind of like side-eye this relationship.
It's like,
she's like, you guys are...
and shut the door.
Yes.
Right.
You guys are a little close. I'm starting to feel a little uncomfy.
This isn't chumming. That's not how we did it.
That's not how we did it in my day.
Yeah.
No, back in my day. But she remarked that their affection for each other was not only unusual, but she actually called it disgusting. She was like, you guys are too close and it's gross.
Okay, Judge Judy.
Big sisters.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, she kept like a very close eye on them and on their relationship. And it was also during this visit that the two began to flesh out their plan. And I can totally see this. You know, we remember being like teenagers and you're like staying up late and your parents are asleep and you got your fucking like candle lit because it's fucking 1890. And you're talking about like, oh, this is what we're going to do. These are the plans we're going to make. So they started fleshing out their plan. And Alice said that she was going to cut her hair short and wear men's clothing. And Frida would go by the name Mrs. A.J. Ward. And they intended to get married in Memphis before taking the journey to St. Louis, which seems like a bad idea.
Yeah.
Seems like
people
get
would
out
know.
of Dodge first and then
go to
then do it. And Alice intended to procure a mustache. And it's actually cute the way that they had like talked about it, where she said that she was going to get a mustache, but only if it suited Frida. Like if Frida was like okay with it, she'd get a mustache.
She was like, I don't know if I can pull off this.
Do I have a strong enough jaw?
Tell me.
But that she would get the mustache and then she would go out into the world and attempt to get a job as a man to provide for Frida. So it was by this time, Frida was close to 17, and Ashley, who was one of her male suitors, had grown increasingly like fond of her. And Frida gave him one of her pictures, which you guys,
That's
1890. That's serious
That's
as
very
shit.
serious.
Like pictures are expensive.
I mean, you might as well be married.
Yeah, it's not like you just shot a selfie in your bathroom mirror. Okay, like you had to go sit for that.
That's right. Real still for a long time.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking tin type.
So they're heavy. So Alice catches wind of this, and so she very calmly reminds Frida that she's an engaged lady and to cut it out. And so you can totally see that kind of like she's like, it's fine. I get it. I'm not
mad at you.
I'm not mad. I understand that we don't.
This is the first time.
It's okay. We don't live near each other. I understand, but just keep in mind. It's really calm right now.
I'm not yelling. I'm totally okay.
Meanwhile, her neck is like red.
There's like a vein in her forehead. That's
She's-
like
Frida's
seen
like,
that
Frida's
before.
like, why aren't you blinking? So Frida agrees that she's like, okay, yes, you're right. You are right. We are engaged. I've done wrong. I'll be loyal to you from now on. I promise. Pinky swear. So, so the plan to marry, it seems to be like going well. It's all good to go forward.
Mm-hmm.
And Frida has this plan that she's supposed to leave and board a boat from Gold Dust to Memphis, where she would meet up with Alice. And then the girls, they'd been corresponding for weeks, and Frida was all packed and ready to go when by chance her sister, Mrs. Volkmer, happened upon one of the letters. Which when I read that, I'm like, you happened upon it. You just she just left it out on the kitchen table.
I'm like, maybe she did though.
I mean, maybe she did.
Because maybe she didn't want to go through with it
Oh.
for real.
I
You know
don't
what I
know.
mean? Maybe her sister was a nosy Nelly, or maybe she knew her sister was a nosy Nelly
Ooh.
and used it as an excuse
There you
because
go.
she
Maybe.
was too Midwestern to be like, I I don't
It's not
want to.
me.
It's
It's
not
my
me. It's my
sister.
sister.
She's just so
I'm not-
mean.
Breaking
Not
your
my
heart.
fault.
Yeah. So let's hear the facts.
hear-
Just the facts.
I hear what you're saying.
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it could have. And we don't really know. I mean, like everything I read says the same thing. But when a story is this old, it's like you don't really know.
Right.
But the story goes that when she went to confront Frida, she found that Frida was dressed and had her bags packed, and she was waiting to leave to catch the boat to go to Memphis. And this was, of course, super, super shocking to Mrs. Volkmer, and she was appalled, and she sent a letter to Alice, one letter to Alice, and one letter to Alice's mother, telling them to stay away from Frida, explaining the situation to Alice's mom, and being like, nah, and telling them to stay away from each other, and for Alice to leave Frida alone, and they were no longer permitted to have any further communication.
Wow.
And
Okay, like as a big sister,
Okay.
I would love to think that I have that kind of power over my baby brother and sister.
And maybe then you did. Though.
Maybe,
Maybe
but I
in
was
the
just
late
like,
1800s
yeah,
you may
my-
have.
you know how many times you're not mom?
Yeah.
you're
I
not my
heard?
mom.
You're not my mom.
You're not my mom.
Exactly.
So she also returned the engagement ring to Alice, along with all the love notes and trinkets that she had found. So apparently Frida was keeping all of these like love notes and trinkets like in a box in her room, and her sister found them and sent them all back to Alice. So of course, Alice is heartbroken. And she sinks into a super deep depression. She
Right.
stops eating. She stops sleeping. She spent most of her time either crying or rereading old love letters from Frida, which she kept locked in a cigar box in a hidden place in their kitchen. So she would like sneak out, go under the floorboard in the kitchen, pull out the cigar box, unlock it.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of steps.
Yeah.
She's just clinging to the mementos of their relationship and crying, which, I mean, it's your first heartbreak. Like
Yeah.
everyone's experienced that, like true heartbreak. But she spent hours in the kitchen, and she would write Frida's name obsessively over and over. And the people,
This isn't good for
No.
you.
Mrs. Frida.
yeah, exactly. And like
Mr. and Mrs.
the number, like the servants were all kind of like, hey, this is weird, because she would alternate between like laughing and crying. She'd be like crying and then she'd start laughing. And actually, this was kind of like an interesting little anecdote to kind of give you a glimpse of like what her mental state was like. In August and September, the winter supply of coal for the family was being delivered, and you had to sign for them whenever they arrived, and she signed the name Fred Ward whenever she was signing for the coal. And when they
Isn't
were
that
like,
who played Jupiter in
Enough.
In
Yes.
Enough?
Yeah. He's a good actor.
great actor. I really like him.
Yeah.
But when she was asked why she did this, she said that she didn't remember doing it at the time. Like she's like wasn't conscious of the fact that she was writing Frida's name on these receipts. So Frida, on the other hand, seemed to have moved on from the relationship fairly easily. I mean, she missed her friend, of course, but
This
she
is why I think that she enlisted her sister to
she's
help
like,
get her out
no,
of it.
please
Yeah.
no.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I knew I went out with a lot of guys who literally just couldn't say, you know what, I'm not that into this.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why ghosting is so big now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or something else comes up where it's like, I'm just really busy for work,
Yeah.
you know, and the next it's just like
Mhm.
bullshit excuses or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Could've
the
been.
number of times I've used my parents to get out of doing things when I was young and
Mhm.
teenager. I was like,
Oh yeah.
you called
act-
called your dad.
I was like, Dad, Mom, say I can't go.
Yes.
I'm
For
serious.
stuff you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would be like, yeah, I'm not really into this thing.
I'm legitimately going to call my parents when we're done recording this. This whole episode is maybe.
Thank you for everything you've done for me.
everything. Your
If the title of this episode isn't Call Your Dad,
right?
In January of 1892, Frida came to Memphis for a visit, but she did not stay with Alice. So they had arranged, because every time they would get together, they would arrange like months in advance when their next visit would be. And so Alice knew that Frida would be coming to visit and was very excited about the idea of like, oh, maybe I'll see her. But because she was forbidden to see Alice, she stayed with a neighbor, Mrs. Kimbrough. And Alice Alice was like, okay, well, she's not staying here, but I know where she is. She's close. Like, maybe I can write her some letters. And so she wrote her letters and made sure, like, one of them, she even like went and saw it get delivered to Frida. And the letter got returned to her house with the word returned written on it in Frida's handwriting. So she's like, no. So Alice began stalking Frida. She was waiting for a chance to speak to her, but Frida was always guarded by a friend or family member. So they always like went together everywhere they went. And on January 18th, Alice got the last letter she ever received from Fred. And this letter told Alice that, like, hey, I still love you and I still care for you, but I'm not allowed to speak to you and I'm not allowed to see you, and please forgive me. Like, forgive me for not being able to be with you, but I can't. So on the morning of January 25th, Alice traveled by buggy with her friend Lillian Johnson and Lillian's nephew, and she knew that Frida would be leaving that day to catch a boat back to Gold Dust. And so without telling Lillian why, she instructed her to go by the house that Frida was staying at. And upon seeing Frida, she told Lillian that she thought Frida had winked at her and to drive back around to see Frida again. So when they did, she got out of the buggy. She followed Frida and her sister Jo Ward up and over a hill. So the buggy is still down at the bottom of the hill. She follows them up and over a hill, and she walked up behind Frida, who turned around. And as Alice got close, she then removed a straight razor, her dad's straight razor that she'd stolen, from her pocket, and she sliced Frida across the face.
Jesus.
And Frida was disoriented, of course, and she stumbled backwards. And at that point, her sister Jo stepped in to defend her and had an umbrella with her, and she started hitting Alice with this umbrella. And Alice then sliced Jo in the collarbone, like, pretty badly. And so Jo fell back. And as Frida was trying to run away, Alice grabbed her by her hair, pulled her back, and sliced her throat from ear to ear.
Oh, Jesus.
My God.
She then turned around, like, covered in blood, went back down the hill, got back in the buggy with Lillian and her nephew. And for reasons I'm not quite sure about, Lillian took off. She took off like so fast that people were concerned that the buggy might topple over.
Holy
and I
shit.
don't know if that was just because she was so
Disoriented?
yeah, it was shock maybe.
Well, because if you see somebody covered in blood, your first thought isn't...
Is it your blood?
Right. Well, your first thought isn't, oh, you murdered someone. Your first thought is, shit, you're bleeding.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so a lot of this information I got from in the Murderpedia, in one of the Murderpedia articles. So spoiler alert, when it jumps forward and when they're trying to like determine whether or not she was sane, they had expert witnesses called to determine her sanity. And a lot of these are excerpts or information from a report that Dr. F.L. Sim, who was one of the expert witnesses, gave at the sanity hearing.
Well, I'm sure, I mean,
Right.
the whole, like, you know.
Being a lesbian.
Exactly.
Would
Yes.
Exactly.
definitely-
Yes.
Or
They're
you're
definitely
instantly
like,
insane.
you're instantly insane.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Which is such bullshit.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and this is directly from that. As they dashed along, she asked Miss Johnson if there was not blood on her face, and being told that there was, she requested Miss Johnson to take her handkerchief and wipe it off, but instantly checked her by saying, "No, let it remain. It's Fred's blood, and I love her so." Miss Johnson asked her what she had done, and she replied, "Cut Fred." On reaching home, Alice drove in the back way, and on entering the house, asked for her mother, who was not in, and turning to her sister said, "Do not excite my mother," but declined to say what had occurred. Presently, her mother came, and she told her that she had cut Fred's throat. She appeared to be quite nervous. The blood was washed from her face, her cut fingers were tied up, and by the time the chief of police arrived and told Mrs. Mitchell that he had come to arrest one of her daughters. So that whole section is, I mean, and again, you kind of have to take all this for a grain of salt because it's obviously it's her defense.
Right.
It's just what expert witnesses from her defense are kind of retelling, I'm sure, what she told them and like what they told her. But if it's true, it gives kind of insight into like her mental state was weird. Like it's very weird.
Right.
So she was then taken to the county jail and she appeared very calm. And that's kind of a theme that went throughout her trial. Like, because this was covered widely, of course.
Kind
It's
of
salacious.
is like a theme throughout her life, though. People thought that she was like
Weird.
emotionless and weird.
But you've got, I mean, in 1892, you've got a 17-year-old and a 19-year-old, because that's how old they are, who were in this relationship together that ended in public murder in broad daylight.
That's crazy.
So of course the press was all up in it, and that's everybody was reporting like, you know, she seems strange. Like she seemed strange in the courthouse. So, but when they're in the county jail, she was asked why she killed Fred, and she said it was because she loved her and because she could not have her and because Frida would not speak to her. And so she killed her. But then her behavior...
She was getting ghosted.
Yeah.
Like,
and she
Gilded Age
lost it. It's like
style.
Yes.
Ghosted.
Yeah, it was like one too many left on reds, you know? But her behavior was also really strange because she acknowledged that she killed Fred, and on more than one occasion would say, like, I cut her, but then would be asking if she could go see her and stuff like that. And like they kept giving, like she kept asking for newspapers because it was all over the newspapers and looking for images of Fred, and then she would collect them and like obsessively like kiss them in her jail cell and things like that. So Lily Johnson, her friend, was arrested the morning after the murder and charged with murder herself.
Oh, shit.
Yes. So the defense argued that Lily had no knowledge of Alice's intentions, but the judge ruled that, quote, the proof is evident that the defendant aided and abetted in the commission of the crime, a crime the most atrocious and malignant ever perpetrated by a woman.
Wow.
So Lily was then released on $10,000 bail.
Ooh.
But again, if $15 is over $400 in today's money, $10,000 bail. But she was released on bail. Alice Mitchell pled not guilty to murder, but also entered a plea of present insanity, which meant that before she could be tried for murder, a hearing would be held to determine if she was mentally fit to stand trial. So the prosecution argued that though Alice's behavior was strange, it was not insane, and that her tomboyish behavior was not even unusual. It was just a normal part of growing up. However, the defense brought in a number of psychologists who unanimously thought Alice insane, probably incurably so, and that her predisposition to insanity was triggered by an exciting cause, the emotional disturbance of love and jealousy. Alice's belief that she could marry Frida was the manifestation of her insanity. So they were like, oh, she has to be crazy.
Listen to this.
Yeah, she thought that she could actually marry another woman. She's clearly nuts, you know?
Oh, my God.
During the trial, Alice said, I wanted to cut her because I knew I could not have her, and I did not want anyone else to have her. My intention was to cut Frida's throat and then my own, but Joe's interference made me cut Frida again. The trial lasted 10 days, and the jury returned the verdict of insanity, and she was committed to the Tennessee State Insane Asylum in Bolivar, Tennessee, and charges against Lily Johnson were later dropped. But Alice died in that insane asylum 6 years later in 1898.
Wow. Young.
Which makes me wonder, like,
how?
What the fuck happened in that insane asylum?
Dude, insane asylums, like, pre-1900? Come on.
Oh, yeah. Awful. Terrible.
She got, like, typhoid or some kind of crazy.
Yeah, or they just didn't take care of her.
Yeah.
It's just, like, ice baths and, like, not enough blankets or any number of things.
That is a great story.
That
Do you know
is
what
wild. I actually just was looking up because I was looking for pictures. Apparently, there's a book called Alice and Frida Forever, and apparently they're making a movie for it. At
Oh,
Amazon.
great.
In 2019 September, they said Amazon Studios is
I love
negotiating and for this book.
I do feel like it's one that should be told more because it's also interesting that she stuck to her guns. I didn't include this, but I read it. She stuck to her guns the whole time. She's like, I killed Frida because I loved her. Like, I loved her. I wanted to marry her. It was romantic love. It wasn't like girl friendship love.
Yeah.
Exactly. But the newspapers, it was like they couldn't wrap their head around the idea that like two women loved each other and wanted to marry each other. And they tried to come up with different motivations. And some of them were that like Frida was more beautiful than Alice. So Alice cut her face because she didn't want her to be as beautiful as her. And there were like all these other motivations. And the entire time Alice is like, hey, no, I'm telling you exactly why I did it.
I thought it was going to be that one case. There's another case of like a woman that dressed as a man and like lived as the husband.
Oh yeah. There were actually a lot of cases like that. We did an episode of Your Angry Neighborhood Feminist about women who lived as men or dressed as men, and there were a couple of cases like that, like pretty famous
Fucking
ones.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So I came across that one and it was short, but I was like, I've never heard it, and it's interesting, and it's also, even though a lot of things about this case I think are somewhat unusual, that whole feeling of first heartbreak, it's universal and timeless, and it's always the same.
Yeah, but it's so isolating, I think, at that time, given the fact that it was two like women.
Yeah, who could she talk
to about that?
Yeah,
that wouldn't be like, you're fucking nuts. Here you go. Here's the insane asylum. You know what I mean?
They even talked about that a little bit, because she didn't get the same kind of sympathy that you would expect your sisters to give you if you were going through your first heartbreak in a heterosexual relationship, where they would come and,
support
that's
you.
What you would expect. Absolutely. Your friends would support you. Your sisters would support you. They knew that when she was going through that massive depressive phase where she lost all that weight and didn't eat and didn't sleep, they knew that it had to do with Frida. And instead of comforting her because it was another woman, they relentlessly like berated her to the point where like the cook or the housekeeper or somebody in the house actually commented on like, why are your sisters treating you this badly? Like, it was that kind of like, because the housekeeper thought that it was a relationship with a boy that had broken up and was just like, why are they acting like this? Like, so it's just sad. It's just one of those things where you're like, hey, if Alice had been born now, would it have still been? Was she really unstable, or was it just young
love and heartbreak,
circumstance and timing, and victim of her period in which she was living. Wow,
good one,
interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, let's go.
Well, what are we watching this week? I watched The Pharmacist.
Oh my God. You know what? It's so funny. When you texted us about The Pharmacist, I had just turned on Netflix and it had just autoplayed. I was watching it. The trailer when you texted me.
It was
it great?
I watched it right after that too. That's so
good. I loved him. I loved what he was trying to do. And like, of course, we all know about like how fucking terrible the opioid crisis has been.
Yes.
For
I think it's touched
America.
every single one of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And just seeing someone that tried to fight it and how helpless you feel. You're fighting like $1 billion industry.
I know. I'm kind of torn on whether I want to watch it. Just the injustice would make it's infuriating.
No, but it does have a good watch it.
Good.
It does leave you feeling like
a little bit more empowered.
Yeah, because it's going to be an uphill. Like this isn't the first opioid crisis that the country has gone through. They used to sell heroin on the fucking shelves, back in the day, and then they mention it in the documentary, all the soldiers coming back from Vietnam.
Yeah, because they were pretty much giving them free heroin.
Right, exactly.
In Vietnam.
So yeah, it's it's going to be an uphill battle, but people are battling now, which is great. But it starts off with this guy who was doing it well before like anyone else was crying foul on OxyContin years before, saying like,
this is
wait,
weird.
What?
Yeah. This is weird.
And I always want to champion those people. So
of course.
Yeah, totally. I definitely want to watch that for sure.
Really good.
I'm watching something on the completely other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
British. So we got Acorn TV because my parents are watching Murdoch Mysteries and could only watch up to season 10.
I fucking love that.
It's kind of the cutest thing ever. But my parents could only watch up to season 10. So my dad messages me on Facebook, even though he can text me legitimately.
That's so funny.
Like, it's ridiculous. He's like,
old people love Facebook Messenger, though. Honestly, they do. They really do.
And my dad's like, He's like, we watch Murdoch Mysteries all the way up until, season 10, and it like leaves us off in like this. He's like, I can't find season. I'm like, so I call him. So
you called your dad.
I did. I called my dad, and so I was like, Dad, let me see where I can find this for you, right? So I'm trying to help him out finding
Murdoch
Mysteries, so he and Mom can binge watch the rest of the last 3 seasons.
The important though,
very important.
Really,
I love
so
it.
we figured, well, we gave him our sign up. There's nothing more frustrating than walking a person who's halfway across the country through setting up something on their TV system, which you don't know.
Yep.
And he's 80. So
oh no.
Oh
man, I used to work in customer support, so I know. Like,
So okay, anyway, they have our Amazon now. We bought Acorn TV so that they could watch Murdoch Mysteries. So therefore, I started watching a show that I'd seen like a couple episodes of on something random. And it's called Fake or Fortune, and I am absolutely addicted to it.
What is it about?
So,
is it like Antiques
art,
Roadshow or
kind of.
like?
Okay, so it's art. So it's like these people may have found like, I found this artwork, and I'm pretty sure it's a Monet, and it has all, and usually, and like some of them, like the one was like the first episode. Total spoiler alert. He has a Monet, and they're like, we're 100% certain this is Monet. Every art person that they've talked to is like, yeah, that's a fucking Monet.
you know what though?
And the one family, they did all the fucking like the tight, they did all the research. They found the like, lineage, like everything they needed, and gave it over to this one family. Holds the yes, it is a Monet, no, it's not book, and they're like, nope. My dad already said it wasn't, so it's not. Would not even like acknowledge the new.
Whoa.
I mean, it's really frustrating on some, and then some, it's like, it's just really cool. So it is kind of like if you took Antiques Roadshow and took one story and then like expounded upon it, and then we're like,
I really feel like these shows enable hoarders though.
oh,
I always feel that way.
Totally.
Like, because I remember
like it might be worth something.
Exactly. And they're never going to get rid of it. Like I was watching Hoarders like a while ago, and she had an obsession with buying Barbies on eBay, and she had like a full room full of Barbies, and when they were doing the process, they had an appraiser come in to try and get money for some of these Barbies, and it ended up being worth like $500,000.
holy shit.
Which is amazing. And it's amazing, and I'm like, oh, I'm
But
so
she wouldn't
glad.
sell it.
But no, she's like, I'm gonna sell them.
Oh,
But she didn't sell them by the end of the episode.
Oh, she
So
didn't
I don't
sell
trust it. And then what it does is then she's like, see, I told you it would be worth it.
no.
You know that's
it.
what's going to happen. And then she's going to, once the cameras stop rolling, she's
The
going to go
whole
buy
house.
every room is Barbies now.
Yeah.
Nervous. I don't like this.
Makes me nervous for sure. So I've been watching that British series that's based on the book on Netflix called The Stranger.
Oh yeah. I saw
Oh.
the trailer for it, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, Richard Armitage is in it. He's hot. So I mean, I think I like it. I'm still watching it, which must mean I like it. But it's no Broadchurch, right?
Yeah.
It's not Broadchurch, but they do a good thing. Like
Broadchurch is so good.
they do that thing that British procedurals do well, which is end every episode with like a cliffhanger, and you're like, well, I have to watch at least the beginning of the next.
Addictive. It's a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It's a problem.
It is. But I also, because I kept seeing it, I think someone in our group actually recommended it, and then I kept seeing people talking about it. So I downloaded Down the Hill, the Delphi Murders, the podcast.
Oh, I want to check that out.
Yeah, so I listened. There's only 2 episodes up right now, but I listened to them. It's good. It's like CNN and Warner Media. So, I have
Got some money behind it.
I have feelings about the podcast world being completely gentrified, but it's very interesting because it is professionals, like professional news people.
Yeah.
Again, there's money behind it.
Right. Yeah. Who, were there when the case first started, and they went back to Delphi, and they're interviewing people. And so it's very interesting. If you want a new kind of like serialized crime podcast, it's a good one.
You've mentioned it on the podcast before. I binged so much Beach Too Sandy, Water Too Wet this week. I am obsessed with it. It is so funny. Both you and I are on the same episode where it's tanning salons in Huntington Beach, California.
It's
hilarious. My God.
I'm going to listen because I think I need something just like silly.
It is so, it makes me cry laughing because I automatically do that anyways because I, for work, have to check like our Yelp and TripAdvisor and stuff like that on a regular basis. And we are lucky in that we get a ton of like 5-star reviews and stuff like that. And I'm still like, who has the time? But like, thank you. But 1-star reviews always.
I know.
I'm just like,
I know. They're brilliant.
It's brilliant,
so
but it's also, again, you're right. It's like, who has the time? Like, to me, I don't know if I really don't like something, I just unsubscribe and stop listening to it.
Yeah.
I would never like
take. She was talking about a restaurant
or that.
Oh,
even the experience would have to be like I would have to be worried for other people's safety.
Oh, right.
In order to write a 1-star review.
But what I like about it is that they're trying to say like, hey, like call attention to how ridiculous a lot of these are and encourage people to leave more because that is the case. Like I have a lot of really great experiences with like small businesses. A great review goes like a long way. Yeah. So you know, I like their message and I think that they're hilarious. So that's been a fun listen.
My question for you is, did you start from the top and go down or did you?
Did.
I'm doing the other. I started at number 1. Number 1 and number 2 got me right away because they're so good. I mean, they jump off immediately.
I'm definitely going to listen. I'm totally going to listen. I'm excited. You do. Yeah. You.
All right. Now, next topic, Bosch.
Yes. I know. Every week.
You'll get us one of these days. All right. Well, if you've got something that we should be checking out, please always write in stories. And speaking of reviews, go ahead and review us. Become a patron. Do it. We have so many tasks you can do. And
join the Facebook group even.
Exactly. Yeah. We had a blast this week. There was a lot of worsty activity.
A lot of activity.
Yeah. But anyways, we got a one-stop shop of a website. It's myworstdatepodcast.com. We can't say thank you enough. We really appreciate you guys listening and doing all that you do. And we'll see you next time.
Cheers.
This is a Glass Box Media podcast.